Arsenal's players have been playing at a phenomenal level in 2024, and a lot of them deserve immense credit for it. And one of the best examples of that is Martin Ødegaard, who's arguably been the best midfielder in the world since the start of the year. So let's get into the brilliant turnaround of Martin Ødegaard. Now, even saying that may seem a bit of a weird statement, I do think Martin Ødegaard all season, and obviously last season, he has been amazing and probably one of Arsenal's most key players in the team. However, at the start of this season, he was really down on his creative work. That might have been down to some of the tactics and setups that we used, and now since he's come deeper, we are much better. It suits him a lot more. He can pick up the ball in different operations and actually have support in that midfield. But don't get me wrong, one of the reasons why Arsenal have been so amazing is because Martin Ødegaard, and I've seen a lot of people still thinking that he could be a legacy sell for the club, which I think makes absolutely no sense. I think you'll be to find a player like Martin Ødegaard in the world. His ability on the ball technically is astonishing. He's one of the best players we've had in many long times actually on the ball, and he's so comfortable in so many different positions. He also has the intensity about him, which I think a lot of players that maybe play his role have struggled in the past. He really wants to win the ball back so much. He presses very well for our team. He's probably the best presser in there with Havertz, and gets Arsenal on the go. Not only when the ball does go past him, he is very quick at running back. And when we played against Porto, we played for 120 minutes, and this guy was running everywhere around the pitch. So the engine that he also has on him needs to take credit. It's an amazing player that we have. And probably the best thing about Martin Ødegaard is the fact he is the captain of the team. Now, there's been loads of criticism before, I think by stupid pundits and people on the internet, that he isn't a good captain because he's not a physical player in people's eyes, which is just a very old-fashioned way of thinking. Obviously, he isn't necessarily going to be the loudest, but I actually think that's not necessarily true. In the last few weeks, when Arsenal have really needed someone to step up, he has been that leader, that captain that we need. Against Porto, he is the leader. He directs people where to go all game, of where to position themselves and how to help each other at all times. He is the reason why Arsenal is so fluid, because it helps people like Ben White move, and he's very good at directing play, and he is basically like Mikel Arteta on the pitch. I also think the fact he leads by example is a proven thing now. When he took that first penalty for Arsenal, he steps up and he puts it away. And even if he didn't score that, at least he's been and taken the responsibility upon himself to take the first penalty in a big moment like that. And some captains simply wouldn't do the same. He's also very forgiving to teammates and never has a go at them. He always lets his teammates prove their ability on the pitch. And quite frankly, I think one of the most important things about being a captain, which I don't think gets spoken about enough, is the fact they have to have a really good connection with the crowd. It's very important in games to have the intensity at certain times and be able to play into the crowd, making them a much better atmosphere for the team. And I honestly think Martin Ødegaard is one of the best that people are doing this in England. He's very good at working with the crowd and getting them to be hyped when they need to be, and maybe in moments of tense to reassure them. I also think the connection that Martin Ødegaard has with the crowd is better than probably anyone on our team consistently. I mean, obviously you've got lovely players like Saka that everyone loves, but I think Martin Ødegaard is really a player that people look forward to, and when he gets on the ball, you know something special is going to happen. And he has a lot of connection with the fans who really respect him. And realistically, he is probably going to demand a lot of everyone around him at all times. He's also going to play nearly every game he's playing, which is obviously another important thing I feel for a captain. And to the people that have wanted us to sell him in the past or want him to be sold as like a legacy signing, it actually makes no sense. This guy's doing around 8.5 progressive passes per game and about 2.5 carries per game, but also having around 5 shot creating actions a game, which is just astonishing for someone in his position. I don't think you're going to be able to get anyone really for this, and considering we spent 30 mil on him, the attacking and sheer creative numbers from Martin Ødegaard are ridiculous, not only with obviously all the captain stuff being to the side as well. And realistically, if Arsenal are to produce something special this season, Martin Ødegaard is going to play a big part of that. And I think there's a lot of times this season, even in games that we've lost, I think about the West Ham one, where he is dragging us through everything. Against Porto, he did not have enough touches. He only had around 15, which been 120 minutes. Nearly every time this guy gets on the ball, something is going to happen. He needs to get onto the ball more, and that should probably be the priority for Arteta moving forward. Get Martin Ødegaard on the ball more and have him more involved with the team, because when this guy is, everything always happens. And I don't really look at his goals and assist numbers too much, because we all know that this season, in order to play better, he's had to play deeper, and he's still creating a lot. Nearly every single goal that Arsenal have scored recently, he's even a big part of that goal. May not get the goal or assist, but he's definitely there about. And I watched the Manchester United v Liverpool game yesterday, and you saw saw Bruno Fernandes. As much as Man United won, I think he was awful in that game. It's not necessarily down to creative or an actual player basis. It's just the fact that the mentality completely is shifted when he's throwing a tantrum all the time. And you're always going to get players that try and dive, try and get results in that way. You can't really blame them. We have players that do the same, such as Gabriel Jesus. But he is not our captain, and he's not the person that we all look to, and he's not the one that we all want to be like. Martin Ødegaard is that guy for a reason, and that's why at the end of the day he is an amazing captain. Of course, you need leaders all across the pitch. I've said this many times that Declan Rice, Gabriel, these players are colossal for us. They play consistently week in, week out. They understand the team and the fans love them. They also understand the players and where people need to go. With Martin Ødegaard being the most intelligent player on the pitch, it makes sense for him to have that right now. And honestly, it shouldn't take an insane Champions League performance quarter-final where the world is watching for people to really credit Martin Ødegaard. Now, he's created the most chances in Europe this season. And finally, at least our creative midfielders that we've had in the time in the past are actually getting good enough players to score goals. And this is why any striker would love to join us. We simply just create so many chances is the reason why we scored so many goals this year. And Martin Ødegaard's a big reason for that. And I know it may seem stupid, but I actually know a lot of Arsenal fans that still don't really recognise how good Martin Ødegaard is and still want Fabio Vieira to come in for his place, which actually makes no sense. Fabio Vieira has proved nothing so far in an Arsenal shirt. Martin Ødegaard is doing one of the best creative players in the world week in, week out. Not only do I think he is arguably the pinnacle of this Arsenal team and the reason why they can move into phases so easily, he's also probably the best player, other than maybe people like Gabriel or Declan Rice, two defensive players that also have been very effective going forward. Martin Ødegaard, as a creative standpoint, is one of the reasons why everyone is so much more better going forward. And I think consistently the last few months he's even been way better than Bukayo Saka, who is most likely our star attacker out of anyone in the team. Martin Ødegaard has also been available when we've needed him the most times, and a lot of people criticise him because he hasn't played well in big games, which I still don't understand because his record against big teams is also very good. And if you're looking at goals and assists, yeah, you're not going to get that all the time with Martin Ødegaard, but that's not the point of his play. He comes deeper to help us progress the ball up and get other players into assists or goal scoring opportunities. If they don't take that, or if they end up passing it to someone else, it doesn't count as a goal and assist for Ødegaard, but he's still done a massive part of that goal. Now, I have done loads of videos about the tactical side of why Martin Ødegaard is brilliant and even broke down some of his performances individually in a lot of games. I didn't do it again for the Porto game because I quite frankly didn't think he got on the ball enough, and that is not his fault. I also felt like people like Kivior needed to be mentioned a bit more. And this video is basically just to allow people to understand that Martin Ødegaard is really world class, and if you don't consider this guy one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, then I don't really understand that point of view right now. And this video is to a lot of Arsenal fans who don't rate him because maybe some guy says it on Twitter, but they should rate him. We're not going to get better than this guy, and he is one of the most exciting players in the world right now. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Martin Ødegaard is playing at the peak of his powers right now, or do you think he can consistently do this for many years to come? Because if he can, he will become an Arsenal great quicker than you think. Like this video, please like and subscribe, and watch my video yesterday where I went through Zinchenko's role at the team and maybe if we've moved past him. And if not, see you in the next one.